couple of weeks ago I accidentally posted the new stock items for thescalemodeler.com on the Facebook page for the Scale Modeling channel. Now that was not supposed to be there, but it gained some interest from you guys, and I also noticed that a lot of you guys were actually interested in seeing me build this Camaro. So I figured, well, why not? A couple of people asked for it. I find the kit pretty interesting and I love the design of the car, and I wanted to tackle an AMT kit as I've never really done that before. I have heard horror stories, but I want to see what I can do with it, especially since it's a new tool. So firstly, go through the box a quick bit and then move on to a bit more detail. So in that first look, it all looks really promising and should be a good build. But knowing AMT, they are not that great. The parts look good, but the fit is not all that it is supposed to be. Now going over the detail on this interior, the center console looks really nice. Also, the rear area looks really good, but the detail in the back seats is a bit lacking, so a bit of panel scribing it will be to detail that up a bit and make it a bit more lively. Now on the other hand, the dashboard is super nicely detailed, has a lot of buttons, all the vents are there, and it even has the head-up display built in, which is pretty cool. The front seats have the same pattern as the rear seats do, although they are a lot more visible. Very crisp, very nicely done, and also easy to be seen. A bit of scribing and it can be all fixed, and a bit of masking and it can be made look into a nice 2 or 3 tone interior, and the same goes for the door panels. All the details are there, it looks really nice, and with a bit of attention and time it can be made into a very convincing piece. So the front seats are a 2-part piece, you just snap them together, fill in the seam, and it looks as good as it should. Now, just like the interior, the chassis and engine components look very realistic. Everything is there, nicely detailed, and with a bit of time and attention, it can be made very convincing. Now, as some of you might know, this kit comes with a full engine, so the hood is of course a separate piece. It comes with a couple of vents in it. You can just easily detail it, make them open by sanding off the backs, and you need to fix the panel line as some of those lines run through the panel line and they shouldn't be there. The rear spoiler and side mirrors are of course a separate piece and can be put into place very easily with the locating pins. The disc brakes and calipers look really nicely detailed from the front, with a bit of a wash and some detailing with various different colors. It can be made look very nice as well. The rear is pretty much non-existent and needs to be filled in order to look correct. I will not be using these in the build. I will be replacing them with a bit more detailed parts, but you will see that later on. Now, as I mentioned before, just like the interior, the chassis components are nicely detailed, and so is the engine. It has a couple of parts, can easily be glued together. With a bit of weathering, it looks really cool. There are a couple of more parts and pieces on the other sprues for some more engine bay detailing. It's pretty much one big molded piece for the engine bay, and it also has some more of the air filters, some belts and other parts for the chassis, and also some more of the tubes and hoses for inside of the engine bay, and of course a couple of grills for in the front bumper. And on the next sprue there are some more body components and also the first typical AMT part. It is warped. Now, This will not be something unique in this build. I will need to fix a lot of parts, add a lot more glue, bend them, straighten them, and detail them up to make it look absolutely decent, but I'm kind of looking forward to it, as it's pretty much a nice challenge to make this look into a really authentic, good-looking kit in a finished model form, that is. Now normally when I would look at a Revell kit, these would be the parts that were absolutely wrong. Now, and in this case, they are not completely correct, but size-wise they look absolutely decent, to be honest. The tires are really thin and look nice around the wheels, but it still needs a fixing, of course, as I don't really like this design and will need to change them, but that is another challenge. Now there are some more chrome parts in this kit, of course, the 4 exhaust tips and also the headlight buckets. They are nicely detailed, and with a bit of paint, just like all the other parts, it can be made really convincing. So as mentioned, the tires look pretty decent. They are a bit thin, but around the wheels they look the right size, in the wheel well, and really sporty. Now on a positive note for this kit, if you are a beginner, the clear parts are already pre-painted. Now they are not perfectly done, but what do you expect from a kit in this price range? It is pretty good, and with a bit more attention it can be made pretty great. Now some other clear parts are also nicely molded and not really that much to fix on them. They are very clear, so with a bit of paint and detail, look very nice. So just like the taillights, the main clear part is also pre-painted. The black edges are already there, but as you can see they are not perfectly done. This part does also not really fit entirely well into the body, so it needs a bit of chopping up and gluing them pieces in separately, and it also needs a bit more fixing as the black paint is still a bit see-through, but it also looks very nice, and just a small amount of detailing and adding to it and it can be made look really good, just like the rest of the kit. And moving on to one of the final and biggest pieces of the kit, and that is of course the body. It is molded in one piece. The front, rear and side bumper and skirts are already molded in, so no gluing or screwing up there, just a bit of panel line scribing, some sanding, and it's pretty much good to go. So as the kit does have a lot of detailed parts, most of the parts are separate, and the chassis is no exception for that. The only thing molded in is the drive shaft, but that is easily done, as it either needs to be painted black or a separate color, but it's one straight line, so nothing fancy needed there either. The decals in this kit look very nice, super crisp. I'm curious to know if they actually work as well as other kit manufacturers, but by just going on the looks, they seem to be very promising. And the last thing left over in the box are the instructions. They are very simple, very clear, easy to follow, and easy to use. Not much to tell other than that they are pretty great in illustrating these and showing you how it's supposed to be done without using too much words or too much pictures. So after going through the box, I'm pretty happy with this kit. All the parts look really nice, really crisp. The plastic is really great, easy to use, and also very hard, which makes it a lot easier to sand, scuff, paint, and detail. Now the parts seem to fit fine. Some are a bit tight and some need a bit of fixing, but for a kit in this price range, it's not too bad. Now in Europe they are pretty expensive as we have to import them from America, but I believe in America they are absolutely decently priced and pretty much a good kit to start off with. It does need some more attention than any other kit that you regularly buy from either Revell or the higher quality ones from Tamiya, but it's not bad for the price, and I'm really looking forward to the build of this one.